gentlemen, welcome back to Ascension eSports Dragon League Season 4. We are going into playoffs here now with the quarterfinals for you. Coming at you with NKT T1K versus the Abusement Park. I am SuruStorm. With me is Corin the Cat. How are you doing, Corin?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing pretty well today. How about you, dude?
I am doing fantastic. I am looking forward to these games. Should be some fun teams to watch, and it looks like we'll be getting into Champion Select any second here to slap you with all that action.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited myself. I'm curious to see what kind of picks these teams will bring out because I personally have not had much experience, and seeing what these players are into playing in each of their respective roles. So I'm really excited to see what they're able to bring to the table today.
I am only really familiar with the Abusement Park. They have a bad trend of losing their lanes, but when it comes to team fighting, they are phenomenal. Their AD carry, Phoenix 96, has had many times where he has gone off huge in some of these later on team fights. And as for the rest of it, it's as much of a mystery to me as it is to you.
Exactly. So now we are getting right into Champ Select, and you can see the Abusement Park are taking away that Orianna from the disease. Now we'll see what NKT bans away. It looks like they might have a substitute as nothing does get banned away in that first rotation.
Indeed, E-subs are known to happen really regularly. A Jinx ban coming through, that's an interesting one. Not the Phoenix's most known champion, but it does serve to counteract his style of play. Still a respectable ban.
Certainly.
And
we don't see that much Jinx, but I can see if someone has proven to be effective on the champion, they can definitely output a lot of damage and make a huge impact on late game and mid game team fights as well. Now wrapping up the bans for NKT, we have Warwick and Twitch, whereas the Abusement Park take away Vayne from the Phoenix 96 as well.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be interested in shutting him down. And a Syndra pick is another one that is known to make AD carries lives a little bit difficult. So with all the bans here and the Syndra pick coming through, what can we kind of expect to see from NKT's draft?
NKT most definitely seeing a Syndra first pick makes them most likely want to favor a very safe mid lane pick, as Syndra does have a lot of potential in the mid lane, seeing as she outranges most of the matchups and can have a lot of kill pressure exerted in the lane. So I expect to see a very safe mid lane pick, something like an Orianna or maybe a Corki with a Hexdrinker rush early on.
Alright. And with that said, we now see Vi and Camille coming through for the Abusement Park.
Yeah,
that'll be
going for some pretty aggressive picks in the top and jungle. They're very strong early on, and they transfer well to mid game as also. But Vi, personally, I don't see that being picked too often due to her ability to just get smashed in late game in team fights because she dives in solo and tends to not have much follow up. But it really depends on the composition in the end, so we'll have to see how that goes.
With the Camille, it could be backed up in a decent sort of way for some dive. And now we got Thresh, and could be a Kayle, so a bit of a more pick-oriented comp coming over for NKT here.
Definitely true.
And that will get locked in. That's an interesting one. Where do you think we'll see that?
Yeah, we don't really see too much Kayle around these days because she's kind of fallen out of date, I suppose you could say, because most champions have very advanced kits which bring a lot more to the table than Kayle typically does. Oh, I'm actually getting a message from Zia. Kayle is Jhin.
Kayle is Jhin. Okay. Yeah, well, then that is definitely diving more in on that pick composition kind of role.
For sure.
Ari coming through for Dead Disease. I believe that's a comfort pick. I feel like I've seen this before.
For sure. Ari is a comfort for many players in the mid lane, and she definitely offers a lot in the current meta. She brings a lot of AoE damage, which can shred tanks and backlines alike, and the high mobility allows her to avoid getting shut down too much if she starts snowballing.
Absolutely, a really versatile pick. Great thing when you're looking to blind pick but pick your mid laner this early in the draft phase. It doesn't give away a lot of what you're looking to do with your draft. Good thing to take out early on, and they are continuing the trend of banning away AD carries.
Oh, we see some pretty interesting bans coming out of NKT here as well in the second phase, as Amumu and Shaco are taken off the table from King Arya. Now, those champions don't actually see much spotlight, so what do you think would be the reason for these bans? Do you think it's comfort, or maybe they're just uncomfortable playing against in general?
I think the Amumu is generally a fair ban to go for in these leagues. This is a silver and bronze league. Amumu doesn't retain as much strength as he has in solo queue, but still has a lot of it. As for the Shaco, I have no idea. That's completely beyond me. Alright, and Phoenix opting for the Ashe. He's generally on these late game team fighting champions. Most of them have been banned away. I was frankly expecting a Xayah from him here, but I can understand the Ashe given how their comp's been shaking up so far. There's not as much to kind of support it getting to that point. With Ashe, he can just facilitate these divers and what they're trying to do and take up a fewer resources on his own than he would otherwise.
Right, and although I'm a little bit against Ashe as well, because they already have so much pick and then she doesn't provide much self-peel, and they're really lacking peel in their composition thus far with 4 champions picked, so I'm really curious to see how Ashe favors, or how Ashe lines up in these late game team fights when she has little to no peel. But going over to the Abusement Park, they did pick up Rammus and Shen to round out their composition with some frontliners who also provide some peel and map pressure.
Okay, and we'll have the draft remade for those teams.
Yep, Crackapple hops back in here. And what's up?
What are your thoughts going forward with these full comps of Shen, Rammus, Syndra, Jhin, and Thresh for NKT, and then Camille, Ari, Ashe, Janna, Vi for Abusement Park?
I think it's... Personally, I think that the draft favors NKT because they have a lot more balance throughout their composition, and in terms of the Syndra offering a lot of early, mid, and late game presence. She has a lot of utility and damage, which can help set her team up for a lot of success when playing around objectives and closed off areas like the jungle and Baron. Also, I think that the Shen is a very powerful pick, and he always has been, and it's even more prevalent here because the Abusement Park has seemed to favor a very pick-oriented composition, and Shen is very good at stopping these picks with his ultimate, as it can catch a lot of people off guard if they're not tracking his ultimate cooldown.
Yeah, absolutely, especially in this league. If you play around your characters with global ult cooldowns well, then the other teams are much slower to respond and often have trouble coming up with an answer to that dual pressure. It'll be interesting to see if they can play that through once we get through the second draft, through the delay, and into the game.
For sure. I also think that Shen in the top lane matchup versus Camille favors Shen quite a bit, seeing as he can pop his W and block Camille's true damage Q, which is actually the majority for damage. So the ability that Camille has to kind of extend a lead in this lane is very minimal because she's very auto attack based, and Shen is kind of built to counter that kind of playstyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Still not necessarily winning for Shen, if I'm following you
for sure.
correctly, but relative to some of his other matchups where he can be truly at a strong disadvantage for the majority of the laning phase, it is certainly favorable.
For sure.
And now taking it over to the bot lane, we see the Ashe and Janna into the Thresh and Jhin. How do you think that'll play out from the early game and then transitioning into the mid game?
I think that the Jhin Thresh versus Ashe Janna can be very volatile, but it's all very dependent on how the Ashe Janna lane positions themselves and plays around their team with ganks and such, assuming there are any ganks. But it's kind of really dependent on whether Janna and Ashe can keep away from Thresh and stop him from getting all the CC chains off with Jhin, because they have a lot of kill pressure with the Deadly Flourish, as well as the Death Sentence, the box, and Flay. They have so much CC and kill pressure and a ton of damage coming from Thresh's E as well. plus it seems as though he's taking Ignite in this matchup, so he's going for a very aggressive playstyle. I'm very excited to see how it turns out, personally.
And on the flip side, although it's hard to see through the spectator bug, which has been around for 5 patches, that cuts off the red team summoner spells, we're seeing a barrier and heal lane out from the Abusement Park. That'll be pretty exciting to watch going through the game, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited to see if the Ascension can communicate and coordinate their summoner spells properly, because I've seen even some high elo players attempt to do this kind of strategy, and they're just not able to pull it off to the same success that I see other players do it.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to overload on that all at once, or the barrier is just completely useless.
Yeah, it'll definitely provide some protection for them in this very aggressive lane that that NKT has set up for themselves.
Yeah, and once it kind of flows through, Ashe, while not having the damage output of other AD carries, given what's on the table, still pushing out a fair amount. Once you get those volleys and the Ranger's focus combined with the Runons, you can definitely spread it around a team fight. Although it gets more difficult when there's someone like a Ascension who provides a massive amount of threat, as you have no real ways outside the volley of extending your damage in a substantial kind of way.
There's a lot of kill pressure that the NKT composition can provide for themselves when they're looking to take out carries like Ashe and Ahri.
Yeah, for sure. The only real tools that the Abusement Park have to fight that too is kill pressure of their own, which you could argue is diminished a lot more by this presence of the strong frontline in Rammus and Shen, and also just the volatile nature of Vi as a champion. If you can't insta-burst someone with your ultimate, you're not in for a very good time.
Oh, most definitely. That's one of the reasons Vi is not commonly picked among any of the leagues, because if she does fall behind, her kit is very underwhelming in most cases when compared to something like a Gragas, who, even if they fall behind, they're always relevant due to the fact that they have damage reduction of their own and CC that is always has the ability to turn the tides of a team fight or skirmish. So I'm curious to see if Vi can pull ahead in early lead, taking advantage of her early base stats and damage to try to get a hold of something like a Triforce or Warrior Enchant early and extend the lead for a free win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only real option in front of them, using their top side to carry them through the mid game, and then hopefully having their Ashe and Janna still in a spot where they can finish off whatever's left of the game. Now, we've talked about the bot lane, we've talked about the top lane, we just had you telling us what the jungle matchup's going to look like. What can you tell us about this mid lane matchup?
The mid lane matchup, I think, will really depend on how the players play themselves, because this is a skill matchup in the mid lane. It all depends on landing your skill shots and whether Xayah can use that cleanse to its full potential, because cleanse is effective for clearing off the Ahri charm, but also for taking off the ignite that Ahri has decided to run in this lane. So assuming Xayah can use his cleanse properly or even dodge out the skill shots altogether, then Xayah has a lot of potential on his hands, seeing as Ahri didn't opt for anything defensive.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll finally get into the loading screens here and get some information on the keystones, although I don't see that providing any wildly new information for us, as most of these champions have fairly set out paths as far as their keystone goes that I can think of off the top of my head, other than maybe Thresh with Thunderlords versus Stoneborn Pact. And that'll get loaded here.
Come on, let's get some connects in here.
Whew. Sometimes it's instant, sometimes it's delayed. All right. What are your first reactions to what you're seeing in front of you?
Nothing too special. I do see Thresh though with that Courage of the Colossus, which, I mean, I've seen quite a few times as well. It's kind of really dependent on preference, because Colossus gives a lot more trading power for yourself, assuming that the Ashe Janna kind of focus Thresh at the initial part of the trade, because it can soak up quite a bit of damage. It also helps Thresh when he's diving in with a hook for example, to survive and get off the CC chain without even dying. Although I think that the Stoneborn might have been a better option for laning because, well, no. Now, actually thinking about it, I don't think something like Stoneborn would have been very good, seeing as Murphy can take kind of control of this lane with the lane that they've set up for themselves. So I think it's a pretty solid choice.
Fair enough. Now that we've gotten through the spectator gray screen, finally getting in, seeing players buying their first items, loading in one by one, and walking up to that invisible wall we all know and love so dearly.
Oh yeah.
Starting, oh, they're going all in on the Ardent Sensor strat from the Abusement Park spot lane. Oh boy, I'm excited about this. What can you tell us about this strat? From the Ascension.
Oh, the Ascension. Oh, the Relic Shield. I didn't even see that. Okay, so the Relic Shield picked up by Ash. Is interesting. I'm curious to see how they play it out because they do lose some laning stats, but they gain sustain in that the Relic Shield provides health on kill for both champions. So I think they're completely banking on the scaling of their bot lane and hoping that they can just push through laning phase and then transfer to mid game smoothly with a ton of damage.
Yeah, and on top of that, you get that Ardent Sensor that we all live for just so much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting item.
Oh, the bane and true love of all supports. There's no in between with that item. You're all in your love for it, or you despise it. Provided you're a support, that is. And also, oh, and a Doran's ring from Jin. Is that a spectator bug?
No, that's actually a somewhat common thing to see on gyms nowadays. They've been taking it for the AP scaling on Q and mana regen so they can consistently push the lane without having to fear for their mana costs.
Well, the more you know.
Exactly.
That's an interesting one. All kinds of cool things coming out from the bot lanes this game. As we load it in, or as we finally get started into the meat of the game.
Yeah, now you see that Shen in the early game did manage to get a free ward onto the Raptors, so they should be well aware that Vi is starting on her blue buff here, and since Camille did also not come in late to lane at all, so they have information on the jungle, and I'm curious to see what Rammus is going to do with that, if he does anything wonky in terms of counter jungling or ganking.
Yeah, and Vi taking a bit of a what could be a bit of a farmier jungle path. I actually thought she had ducked to the Gromp. Oh, she is going to the Gromp. Alright, this will be interesting.
Oh, it's very interesting, as it does reduce her clear speed by quite a bit, taking the path to Wolves and then back to Gromp. Maybe she'll look for a move on Scuttle and then gank bot lane early, but we'll have to see what she does with this kind of wonky path.
Yeah, and big trades coming in top lane. Gamma to Chaos taking a substantial lead up there. And Cracked Apple is now 2 for 2 on those hooks. Stuff to him.
You see, Vi actually did not opt for any kind of bot counter gank or counter jungle or gank, so she did end up slowing down her clear speed. And Vision was found on Vi. She's pinged out by Syndra.
Yeah, a little bit of an odd clear. Usually the Blue Wolves Gromp is exclusively a bit of a cheesy bot lane dive type deal. If you're going the more farm path that she seems to be opting for now, then you usually do the Gromp into the Wolves, just to not lose up on that movement speed. Now a big trade coming up in top lane. Vanilla MF going forward, he does get a lot of damage finally coming ahead in one of those lanes, but he started it a bit too soon, and Singularity Creek will have to walk away empty-handed with nothing really left for him to do.
Yeah, he does now move up to those Krugs, hoping that maybe he can stall out for time and get a lane gank, or maybe something else in the future minutes to come. Ari also pushing in mid lane, does get a quick trade onto Zia. Not traded back at all, actually, as the Orb of Power misses.
And the wave shoving into Gamma Chaos will be able to set up for that lane gank that you predicted may happen. Interesting to see.
Though Vi was spotted out by the ward that Gamma Chaos placed just seconds prior. The ward does expire, but Vi's position still very well known and understood.
Absolutely. And despite that one trade going somewhat poorly for X, oh wow, what a hook coming through. They go in onto the Phoenix. He lands an auto attack onto Murphy. Incarnated is trying to peel back for her laner, and they're able to get away safely, somehow coming up with a slight health advantage on top of all that.
Yeah, Cracked Apple slid in that hook around the minions like a beast, but it did not look like Murphy was expecting him to be such a god at the champion, so he was not ready to follow up on the trade all the way, so a bit of a volatile trading predicament we had here.
Yeah, and now something could be happening in the mid games. The beginnings of skirmishes being set up, but ultimately diminishing. Now, despite that, those few trades we've seen onto Xia here, he's got a substantial CS lead for himself.
Yeah, I think that stems from Disease focusing so much on poke and damaging Xia and trying to force him out of lane that he just forgets that the value of CS, and he doesn't really focus properly on.
Oh no,
that.
King RU, he's landed one taunt, a second taunt comes through, they're getting flashes the wall, the Rammus chases forward, is not able to find another auto attack. They've turned on to Vanilla MF, get the flash out of him too. Both get away, both will have to back. Summoner advantage over to NKT.
Yeah, that was definitely a really well executed play by Chaos and King Arya. Although the flash from Rammus wasn't all that necessary, I can see why he'd want to go for something like that. Maybe trying to catch the last auto on Vi over the wall. But
oh my word, aggressive. Janna Incarnated goes forward, but he's able to get a lot of damage forward. Burns the heal out of Murphy OG. Is able to tank the last hit of the Jhin passive with his shield. And they come away with a surprising lead out of what, again, looked like a devastating hook to open things off.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Murphy OG is just not coordinating properly with Cracked Apple on who they're going to be focusing on in these fights, because you see Murphy OG tunneling on Phoenix, whereas Phoenix himself is like just shredding down Cracked Apple with all the damage he has, and they don't really trade evenly because Phoenix was untouched in that entire fight.
Yeah, and it's scary to see. Usually the trend with Phoenix has been early game potato, late game god, so it's interesting to see him shoring up his laning phase and really just putting some stuff on the scoreboard for himself. Incarnated also setting that up fairly well with what a very scary play, but it's a nice trend to see.
One thing that is somewhat... Oh, wait.
Roam coming through on top lane. Dadazi's getting a lot of damage on. Ignite comes through. Charm goes wide. They are not able to pick it up. And Gamma Chaos gets away, holding on to his flash.
Oh, great patience shown from Gamma Chaos, but what I was going to say was, it's interesting to see Phoenix and Incarnated coming out ahead in all these trades, even when they have a relic coin as their starting items. So like their trading power is very minimal, so seeing them come out ahead in these trades is somewhat worrying for NKT's bot lane.
Yeah, that's a fair point to make. I'm trying to get a... Okay, so the ring has given 9 damage onto the Q for Jhin. Not a huge amount, but a gank coming through onto mid lane. Zia's going very low, so Creaky trying to pass it on to Dadaziz, but it just sets up for a flash. Now the Stand Unite coming through. Zia, he's setting up for his defense. He has the stun ready, misses it onto Dadaziz, but does dodge the charm. Gamma Chaos, though, he poured it in low. First blood over to the Abusement Park. Now Gamma Chaos, can he find his way out? He is surrounded. Looks like it'll be going over to Phoenix. Another kill for them. But yes, the root comes through, but it's just a second too late. Now they're turning on to Murphy. Ranger's focus comes through. A volley lands. One more. Oh, Singularity Creek walks away. One more volley is all that was needed, but it could not be found. It looks like Abusement Park will turn onto the Drake. 2-0 in favor of them.
Oh, and that was just so well played by the Abusement Park, punishing all the position errors, and even taking the Scryer's Bloom to find out where the NKT squad had planned to go in the jungle, and they spotted out the Shen, which allowed them to prepare for the impending possible doom that Xia and Chaos could have brought on that Ahri. So well played by them. And also, a funny little note at the bottom, at the end of that fight, you see Vi body blocking Phoenix away from that last kill.
Yeah, it was, and just, oh, walking away from the one auto attack or Vault Breaker to take that Q. It is so tempting to always give them to your laners as a jungler, but sometimes you just have to secure it.
Yeah. Just a little hint of greed.
Indeed. And now, Zia showing a little bit of rage onto the enemy team for what just happened to him. He pushes Dudaziz out of lane and throws a whole whack of damage onto Singularity Creek.
Yeah.
Nice stuff from him.
Although Uri has been getting some pretty decent roams and skirmishes off with her team, she's not able to pull ahead in terms of gold, and Zia actually maintains a lead because of the CS differential.
Now the box coming through. They're trying to get onto Phoenix, but Phoenix doesn't care. They're going onto Murphy OG. Vanilla M's in. Is he going to be able to finish him? Yes, he is. Now, looking at Cracked Apple, he will be going down. A double kill for Vanilla MF to continue the snowball that is this game. Or that this game is turning into, I suppose I should say.
Abusement Park is making all the right moves across this map, and it looks like NKT is just not prepared for this kind of macro play.
Oh, the unstoppable power isn't up right now. I was worried that we would see a dead to disease, but it looks like he will hold on to his life for the time being. A Singularity Creek holds the top lane.
Couple of interesting trades here.
Yeah,
Singularity looking to go for the all-in here onto Gamma, but he might not win this. Taunt comes out.
Oh, it's getting really close. Singularity Creek, he's flashing out. He doesn't have anywhere to go. Gamma Chaos, he's looking at the wave, just saying, I'll just farm this up. Where are you going to run to? Singularity Creek, he's hoping he can execute here.
Coming in for the bounce, the bump, the taunt, the smite!
Smite takes him down. And the first turret goes over to the Abusement Park in the bot lane. A nice additional chunk of gold over to them. Little bit not complacent, but it does seem odd that NKT are willing to just let that happen. They were a little bit far away. King Arya, he just accepts that he will get some jungle. Now they're looking for a Rift Herald, but Incarnated is top lane. Opens up with the slow onto Gamma Chaos. Decides maybe he shouldn't be tanking the turret. Allows Vanilla to go in first. Lots of damage coming onto them, but Gamma Chaos, he gets the con. King Arya is here to help out. Vanilla MF, he's able to dodge a second of the tower with his ultimate, is able to secure a kill that way, but he ends up going down in the end. Now, does he have an escape? Can he get away from this Rammus? Shields himself, gets the slow. Phoenix is coming up to support, and King Arya, he accepts that maybe he's a little too far forward. Oh, and the Ash Arrow goes slightly wide. Incarnated still poking for damage here, trying to hold on to that Rammus for as long as possible. Now Zia's here. Is he going to be able to burst Phoenix? It's delayed for a minute longer. The Janna ult comes through. Lots of healing. Unleashed power goes on to Incarnated. It is not enough to take him down. Now they're playing the 2v3 game. Will they be able to come out with something, or will Gamma Chaos load too much damage? The taunt comes through. Phoenix going down. A great turnaround play from NKT, and it looks like they'll be able to clean up Incarnated as well.
Deadly Flourish misses out just a bit, but Zia's ready to take this kill back, but Incarnated wants to take one back. He flashes out. Cracked Apple, though, with the lantern, saves Zia's life. Oh, that was almost a heroic play from Incarnated, trading a kill back on Janna, but just was not meant to be.
Absolutely. Nice little swing. Just going into the pockets of NKT. Should be good to see what they can do with that. Nice charm from Disease. Probably won't turn into much more.
Yeah, and that was a volatile minute and a half, actually, because just like just about 2 minutes ago now, there was a 2.2k gold lead in favor of the Abusement Park, but it seems to have dwindled quite a bit, actually, now falling to only about like 500 gold.
Yeah, definitely not the ideal situation there. Oh, and Vanilla MF, he wants to close it back. Probably won't be finding too much here. Gamma Chaos, he's got the minion wave on his side. He's very okay with this. Vanilla MF taking tons of damage here, and he will get taken out by Gamma Chaos's auto attack. Bramble Snap Vest. Holy moly, you are crazy.
Bramble Vest plus Tabby is definitely proving to be an overpowered combination of items. Oh!
Ooh! Hook in a flash forward is able to quickly take down Dada's Creek. He's going on to Z. Red buff ticks down, takes him as well. Phoenix 96 forced to run away from Murphy OG. Incarnated is going to be able to find his way out. More than that, they're looking to pick up 2 kills on the backseat of this. That one goes into the pockets of Phoenix. They're finding their feet again, and this game is back and forth as all hell.
Oh my god, so many, like, so aggressive flashes in that little skirmish there.
Indeed. And it looks like they'll be able to secure a second dragon for themselves. It'll be interesting to see what they can do with that. Not getting the best luck of the dragon calls, though.
Gamma was looking to get some tower damage to trade for the dragon and the lost skirmish in bot lane, but Vanilla does show up to match that. Not much able to be picked up in return for their losses for NKT.
Vanilla's at a 2-level disadvantage. You can't do that, my guy. That ain't safe.
Definitely not. You can see he also opted to get that Phage rather than the Sheen, which does reduce his trading power by quite a bit here in the early match.
Yeah, absolutely. Phage providing more of the sticking power when you're in the top lane. Not something you would take if you're looking to kill from behind, but more if you're looking to kill someone you're having problems just keeping quite on top of. Gamma Chaos, he's aware of his advantage. Did not see Singularity Creek coming. They'll be able to knock him out of his dash there, and he'll go down onto Singularity Creek, getting over his fear of taking kills and securing it for the team.
Yeah, just a bit of lack of map awareness coming out from Gamma Chaos there. Maybe getting a little bit too antsy at his victories in the top lane, but more on that in a second. Zia does get all in, and he just gets 1, 2, 3 popped by the disease.
Whew, that was a quick one. Blink and you almost miss it there.
Yeah, for sure. The cleanse did come out from Zia as well, but it just was not enough as he wasn't able to match the damage output that the disease was able to put out with the current HP he was at.
Yeah.
But, like I was saying, in the top lane, just a lack of map awareness as Gamma Chaos was getting antsy trades, and he just opened himself up to a gank as he just forgot that he placed a ward.
Something might be a brewing here now. Was a 4v3, but the Stand United comes in. Initiation out of Cracked Apple. The Ash Arrow goes down. What a cluster forward. Now, Phoenix, he's kiting backwards. Incarnated. Slip of the tongue there. Going really low. King Arya is able to go down at the hands of the Phoenix. Now, all of the members of NKT are very low. Cracked Apples follows. Double kill for Phoenix. Will it be a triple? No. Vanilla says, I want in on that. Double kills are cool, and they'll look to turn on to the Rift Herald on the backside of that play.
Yeah, that was just so well executed by all the members of the Abusement Park. They peeled properly and went and focused their targets as well. They split the kills up as on top of that, which kind of makes all of them high priority targets, as you see the 4-1 Ashe, the 2-1 Ahri, the 3-1 Vi, and the 5-2 Camille with the Ardent Janna, who has practically no deaths either. This is just looking like the shaping up to be like an extremely strong composition from the Abusement Park as they extend their early lead.
Yep, we were saying in the Champion Select, the Abusement Park, they need to snowball these dive champions, and they have done so. All of their lanes being ahead, the top lane being almost closer to even because of the experience deficit. He was rocking there for a while. It's getting a lot more in his favor now. And Z still can't burst people down on Syndra. The timer ticks for a while longer.
Did walk away a bit there as he popped the ult, thinking he would just get the clean one-shot, but in the end he does pick up the kill with that W.
That was 3 people top. What will they sacrifice? Doesn't look like much, as Cracked Apple and King Arya are able to quickly come and respond to the turret taking a bit of damage. Nothing too threatening, though. Now we'll see if the Abusement Park, will they respond to what's going on bot lane, or will they just continue their hold mid lane and look to trade turrets?
This will be a very nice pickup for NKT as they have no towers taken quite yet, and they do need to be a bit more careful with their map movements. They can't afford to be 3-manning lanes if they can't control this Camille, as she does have that Herald available to her, and if given the time, she can easily take down 1 or 2 towers at no expense.
And Murphy OG, he was able to get away from that too. Able to snag a turret for nothing in response. Now a lot of things coming in onto Phoenix. It looked like he's going to go down. King Arya getting knocked back by Incarnated. Great Janna ultimate. Now the now the Jhin ult comes through. Wasn't able to get anything. Incarnated doing as much as possible to save his AD carry, standing in front and tanking those blasts. Great play out of him there.
And following up the Jhin tower take on the bot side, Gamma Chaos looking to get a tower of his own on the top side and open up this map and look to maybe get a rotation down into the mid lane where they can finally get access to the enemy jungle and maybe pull a lead back from Abusement Park.
Yeah, for sure. They are looking good whenever these fights are breaking out, but whenever they're not fighting, there's not a lot happening. And it looks like they'll be able to clean up Gamma Chaos fairly quick and clean there. Now they'll be moving back. What can you say for what you expect to see out of the teams going forward into this game, based on how things are, based on the champions, so on and so forth?
Based on how things are going so far and based on the play of everyone at this point in time, I think that the Abusement Park will not have much of a struggle extending their lead so long as they don't make any major mistakes in getting caught out on the map. They did actually end up saving that topside tower, so a bit of gold denied for the time being. And I think that with the way NKT is playing out their composition at the moment, I highly doubt that they're going to make a comeback into this game unless they can find a way to properly bait out cooldowns and maybe cheese some objectives with the Shen ultimate. But we do see the Rift Herald placed down by Vanilla MF, and the top tower, rightfully so, going to get one-shotted as Vanilla picks this up and slides out cleanly.
Yeah, absolutely. They're making some moves onto the towers now. And now we've got an Infernal, a Mountain Drake, pardon, on the battlefield for people to fight for. A little bit of trades coming out in the top lane. Oh, and it looks like they're both handshaking on this. More or less willing to commit. But Gamma Chaos is going to back off a little more, acknowledge that he may need to stand united. I spoke too soon. I'll just shut up. What can you tell us about what's happening on the map, my guy?
Well, so far I see that the Abusement Park has picked up 3 unique elemental dragons as well as the Rift Herald. Early cleanse from Zia does get taken
gets knocked up by Singularity Creek. They're turning on to Cracked Apple here. Damage comes through. One more ult. Dudzy is able to take him down. Meanwhile, Gamma Chaos gets knocked down in the top lane. They're pushing forward onto King Arya. Ranger's focus comes down. Isn't able to take him down. Now the curtain call comes through. Will he be able to clean up any more of that? No. Looks like the Janna will be able to tank it up with the shield. And nothing more will come from that. A quick and easy 3-0 in favor of the Abusement Park.
Yeah, and it's scary to see. Now Vanilla MF is able to win out on this 1v1 with Gamma Chaos, and he still doesn't even have a Sheen, so like the fact that he's able to split push as hard as he has been without that, the power of the Sheen is very frightening to say.
Ooh, nice flash. Interrupting the Powerball right at the end there. Looks like you got taken down by Zia, but still, for what he's for the resources that he gave up there, that was a very nice play on the top lane. Vive able to open up mid turret for his team to take as well, knocking down 2 on his own in one push.
Yeah, so over the course of about 2 to 3 minutes there, the Abusement Park squad was actually able to take out 3 towers, 2 being in the top lane with the assistance of Herald, and then 1 in the mid lane following their victory in a skirmish. So you can see now the Abusement Park, with their lead on all the champions, they're able to extend their lead all across the map, like simultaneously. So I can definitely see Abusement Park continuing to snowball, and you can even see the Janna picking up Medjai's for herself.
Oh yeah. Whew.
That's just the biggest possible shield she can get.
Yeah, really looking to have them be big and healthy. No stacks on that so far, but at this rate, it will not take long to get that big and healthy.
You can see
Man, and just to point out something on the Targon's back, yes, there is a massive lead over to Abusement Park, but if you look at the Targon's Brace and the gold it's earned, it has been 960. More gold for the Janna, who is rocking a 2,000 gold lead over the opposing Thresh. 1k of that coming just from the Relic Shield.
Yeah, and then another 300 coming from the coin as well. So you can see a lot of gold actually did come out of that relic purchase. So in the end, because they were able to still match up in lane without losing too much pressure, in fact actually winning in the lane, and then also passing off that gold, it made for quite a powerful combo, as Janna is now just pretty much a death threat to the entire team.
Yeah,
With those
absolutely.
shields, oh my god. She got Arden really early as well, so the strategy behind Relic Coin definitely did pay out in the end.
Yeah, it's something that hadn't really occurred to me going into this, was just the nature of Gianna supporting her front line, which, in retrospect, is obvious, but it's usually when you picture Gianna, it's just the, E-Girl supporting the AD carry, but then you see the way that she's able to set up plays, not too unlike these. She gets the shield onto her divers in the Camille and the Vi, and it boosts their damage and makes them much more safe, especially with the Vi, who is notoriously unsafe in certain stages of the game.
For sure. And you can see one kill traded up in exchange for a tower mid lane, but now there's a fight bot lane, and Vanilla promptly dives Zia, but it does die in return from the tower, ramping up in damage. But not everything's said and done yet, as the Abusement Park looks for a 4-man push on the top lane, and with the power of Janna's shield and the attack resets from Vi, they're able to cleanly shut down that tower.
Oh my word, that was a quick tower take. Yeah, the Ardent Sensor Janna shield coming up big in terms of knocking that down a little bit further, and there's not really much that they can say in return here. They are just forced back by the pressure of this 4-man squad, with their most powerful member not there to help them. They just have to watch their inhibitor get taken down. Great pickup for the Abusement Park.
Yeah, Abusement Park across the entire map ended up getting about 3/4 of that bot lane tower, a 1-for-1 in the bot lane, a free kill top, tier 3 tower and inhib, and the whole top side jungle of NKT. So definitely making a case for themselves being the stronger team here, but curious to see if NKT if NKT still has the means to bring it back here.
Abs, in this game, there is still that potential for bringing it back. You've got so many tools to assist that, but I do think it's also time that we start looking at the rest of the series. This is a very dire position for NKT. They are down 8k gold, and the champions that have snowballed against them are not the champions which you want snowballed against them. Additionally, there's a 3-tower advantage for the Abusement Park, as well as an inhibitor and 3 elemental drakes. They're looking to go on to Baron, and the entire team of NKT is bot lane. They won't have a response to this. What do you think that we can expect from NKT for the rest of the series? How would you like to see them adapt?
Well, in terms of adaptation, I think they simply did not play their lanes correctly, despite having, they had the advantageous mid-game transition, as long as they didn't give any lead to the Abusement Park, and they failed to kind of play safe. So I'd like to see some safer play come out of them if they're going to draft these types of compositions and play for the mid to late game. Seeing as they have all the teamfight tools to win this game, I think if they just had played safer in the early game and didn't do anything that was too volatile in the end, they could have had the potential to win this one. So I think overall, if they're gonna pick scaling comps or mid-game comps, they need to play it promptly.
Absolutely. So from gameplay, there's definitely a lot that could be corrected. Do you think in that case that they just hang on to the draft? The draft's fine, you just want to see them adapt a little bit? Or do you think there's some changes they can make there that could really help them out?
Well, with some of the rotations, they seem to prefer a more aggressive playstyle, so I think they should draft accordingly. I think they should look for a more early game orientated jungler. I also don't think I completely agree with the Rammus here. Like, it's against multiple AD champions, but it doesn't really provide much because of the fact that they have so much, their ability to shred through armor and just lock down Rammus and stop him from really providing anything to the team is kind of made him a useless pick.
Definitely, and a lot of ways to pull him out of his power ball too.
For sure.
With their composition.
Even just the Janna alone being able to push him out on command makes it quite a difficult pick to play.
Yeah, and with all 3 inhibitors down and a Baron buff, looks like the pages or the book that is this game is slowly reaching the last page and will be closed quite soon. Bit of a slow close from the Abusement part, given the advantage they've had, but it doesn't feel like they've had many moments since the early game where they've been actively, or not actively, but just missing out on opportunities. It does feel like they're taking a more safe approach to closing this one out.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they're taking a safe approach to this. Like, they have the advantage in all their lanes, and they're very strong, but I'm glad that they didn't get super over-aggressive or cocky with their lead and end up throwing it.
And Cracked Apple getting knocked down again. He was... The second time, we did catch the last time he got knocked away there. It just... When people go down as fastly as... or as quickly as that, there even... It's almost not worth talking about.
So it now comes down to seeing whether or not Zia can 3v5, being the primary, well, the only damage source that NKT has left. But it looks like as both the Nexus towers fall, the Nexus will be depleting in health as well after Abusement Park goes for a couple of extra kills to pad their stats.
Oof. And do they ever? Oh my lord.
By the bell, the Nexus explodes and Abusement Park take the series 1-0.
Yeah, that was really nice and not clean from them. There were some hiccups in the transition between early and mid that I'd love to see ironed out, but they still had some nice plays. Their team fighting was immaculate. Their teleports at some points were fairly nice as well, and their bot lane was able to garner a strong advantage in what really should have been a losing lane.
Yeah, especially given the fact that they ended up taking a relic and then the heal barrier, they didn't have many aggressive options, so they were kind of put into a position where playing safe was the only option. But with the way Murphy and Cracked Apple played this bot lane, it seems as though that didn't even matter, and they were able to commandeer the lane and take advantage of them at like pretty much all points of the laning phase.
Absolutely. When we drift over to the damage chart too, I find some of the results on here a little bit surprising. What can you tell me about this?
Yeah, definitely a bit surprising seeing that Shen topping the damage charts among the Syndra and Jhin is very surprising to me. Though he did have some extended trades top lane, I think that Zia and Murphy should have most definitely been able to put out a lot more damage than they did in this match. And we see Camille, Ashe doing a lot of damage to their team as well. I think Ashe getting off as much damage as she did, despite going the Essence Reaver build, is also a little bit alarming, to say the least, and in terms of the positioning of the NKT squad.
Yeah, for sure. The damage numbers of this game as a whole seem very low. The fights that did happen were fairly short, whereas top lane trades were just never ending. So it does make sense that the top laners both come ahead of their teams a little bit. Actually, the top laners being first and second on the damage charts overall, with Gamma Chaos able to beat out the Phoenix by about 50 damage. Sorry, 47 damage.
Oh, we've got to be exact.
Yeah, got to be precise as all hell.
Exactly. Now, we're going to get situated into our next lobby and move into the second game. So for now, we'll see you guys in just a few minutes.